Welcome, welcome everybody. Do we have people in the room already? Hey Giles, how you doing? We've got Giles and Joe and Tom and Tony. Hey guys. Yeah, great. Thank you. Thanks, Giles. Yeah, really good here. We've got a bit of sunshine here, which is fabulous. We've had way too much rain already, so it's good to see you guys. Hey, Tom. Can you guys hear me okay? Is the mic loud enough? Excellent. So we've got a couple of minutes just waiting for everybody else to come on board. And for those of you that are interested in, I'm going to be doing a feedback on the Songwriting Challenge for July 2018, the winner, which was Anthony Laurence with a song called Ornament. So you've got a couple of minutes to have a listen to it. I'm going to be playing it live as well, but it'll give you a chance to get a heads up on it, because I'm going to be asking you guys for feedback as well on this, as I normally do. I want to get you thinking the way that we all think when we're analysing songs, and it'll really help you when you analyse your own songs as well. Hey Tony, great to see you, mate. Just going to close down a few apps. Yeah, this is probably a good idea for you guys as well to close down as many apps, anything that's sort of draining your connection. If you've got iTunes open or Facebook, etc., then that'll be draining your connection on here. So it might make, if you close them down, it might make it a little bit clearer. Okay, so what else do we have here? Okay, so I think we're almost ready to start on this bad boy. Let's just give it another moment or so for everybody else to join us on here. Right. Good. Let's get started. Good to have all of you here. Really pleased to see you all. Just wanted to say a couple of messages. When you are posting in webinar chat, you've got the opportunity to post either to all panelists and attendees, or you can do it to just me, or you can do it to everybody. So do select which one you want when you're on the Zoom chat. And also, if you've got a question today, then please post that in Q&A and not the chat room, because the chat all sort of flies past fairly quickly on here. So if you put it on the Q&A session, then if I have time as we go through, then of course I'll try and get through as many of your questions as possible. That's what I'm here for. Welcome everybody. And let's get started with some of these questions. The format today, I'm going to run through some of these questions, and then I'm going to do quite an in-depth feedback on the winner of the July challenge in the Academy, which was Anthony Laurence, great writer, and he's got a really lovely song called Ornament. And so I'm going to be listening through to that with you and asking for your feedback on the songs as well, on that song as well. So, okay, without further ado, let's crack on with some of these questions. Oh, by the way, I also want to let you know that the Songwriting Academy are holding a retreat, which is actually starting next Saturday from the 8th to the 15th of September in Andalusia, Spain. We rent an entire village of 14 houses. We fill it with songwriters, 36 songwriters for a whole week. There's 4 multi-million selling songwriters there who are going to be helping you with your writing. And you also get to write with one of the mentors during the week, which is just a wonderful week in Spain. We've had one last minute cancellation on this. Somebody unfortunately got ill. So if you are interested in coming to that, please do hit me up and let me know, and we'll see if we can get you to come along to Spain. I know that Tony has already been, Tony Dennis has already been, so he had a cracking week, didn't you, Tony? We had an amazing time. So if you're interested in that, a whole week songwriting, there's Tony saying amazing, guys, go if you can. It's a life changer. If any of you fancy a whole week of songwriting in sunny Andalusia in Spain, we've got a great deal for a last minute cancellation on that. So do hit me up. We've got other people to call, but if you hit me up quick enough, then you may well be able to come on this week. So we'd love to have you guys. It's all like-minded people just like you that want to write great songs and enjoy a bit of sun and sangria and taking over a whole village for a week. There's no tourists or any of that nonsense. So, okay then, let's start with the first question. This is Andrew May saying, do you use a digital audio workstation, also known as a DAW, to record your song ideas? And if so, which one do I use? Also, when you're recording your song ideas, how far do you build out your tracks? Do you add bass, keyboards, a drum track, guitars, etc.? Initially, I will record my ideas, says Andrew, on my smartphone, and then when the song is more flushed out, I will record it on a DAW with other instruments to have a rough musical outline of the composition. So, good question, Andrew, and it's one that comes up quite a bit. Yeah, I do have a DAW. Yes, I have a studio, and I use Logic ProX. I love Logic ProX to bits. I've considered jumping ship to Pro Tools in the past, but a lot of friends that have been using Pro Tools have come back to Logic ProX because the MIDI side of Logic ProX is absolutely fabulous. I've made loads and loads of records for well-known stars on Logic ProX without needing Pro Tools. And that's my preferred workstation of choice. GarageBand is what comes with Mac computers as a fairly standard thing. For me, GarageBand is a bit like a sketchpad as opposed to a proper canvas. So you can get some rough ideas down on it, but the real fine tuning that you need to create great demos, you're going to need something more professional than GarageBand. And there's others, there's Cubase, there's Cakewalk, I think it is, but Logic ProX is my DAW of choice. I love it to bits. So in terms of when I'm actually writing, it's kind of, it depends. For example, when we're on the retreat, for example, we just write with guitars and pianos, and we just try and write the very, very best song possible. We craft the song, and not having a studio there is actually really beneficial because it makes you less lazy, because sometimes we can really rely on beats or little instrumental things, and it stops us really crafting the song so much. so I love doing it that way, where I will write the song just on a guitar or a piano, and I will record it literally just onto my phone. And then when I get into my studio, I'll do a basic version, so a guitar or a piano with vocal, just to see what it sounds like, and I'll still be crafting it at this point. But the key here is that I do create demos that are pretty much finished articles. I make records. And the reason that I talk about it in this way is because the record labels, the publishers, the managers, the artists, they want to hear something that's pretty darn close to the finished article, because that's what they're used to hearing. I'd love to say that they have the imagination that they used to have 20 years ago, when you might be able to play them a song on a guitar and they'll go, yeah, I can totally hear this. I can hear the string arrangement, but they don't really have that kind of time or imagination these days. There are some good guys, girls out there in the music business that do have what we call ears, but many of them are very, very busy, and they want to hear what it's going to sound like on the radio. And this means creating a really strong product. So the way that I work is, if I have a basic song that I've been away on a retreat and I've written on a guitar, I'll come back and I'll start really padding it out with everything that it needs. And I'm always concentrating on serving the song. I don't necessarily try and copy other people's productions, make it sound like another artist. I just want people to fall in love with the demo. I want them to love what they hear. And more often than not, that's what artists want to do. And labels, they just want to go, oh, this is a great song. Even though it may not sound like their artist, it might not be in the right key for their artist, they'll be moved by what they hear. So that's why I talk about it in terms of making a record. I'm going to talk about session singers a bit later on in this, as there's another question about that. But in terms of actually writing with Logic, that's another kind of, that's another way that I do write. So if I'm sitting in my studio, especially if I'm writing something that's kind of up-tempo, it's got that kind of pop or rock feel to it, or even country. I love mixing styles. I love mixing acoustic guitars with sort of like electronic sounds and arpeggiated little things, instruments. And so often I'll use Logic as a writing tool, and it has been the case before where I've found just a little sample and arpeggiated. I love arpeggiated sort of samples, where I will start with something like, I'll hear something and I'll go, oh, I love the sound of that. And then I'll start playing guitar with it. And it's almost like Logic is one of the co-writers, if you like. And so the two sort of go hand in hand. So I have two approaches with writing. One is just writing as I used to when I was a street performer back in the, I don't know, just before the First World War or something. And so I'll just write with a guitar or a piano. And other times I will absolutely jump in and write with Logic and have that making me inspired and motivated by already hearing what the record's going to sound like. But the end result with both ways of writing is that I will have something that sounds like a record. This doesn't mean that you have to spend, I don't want you to feel daunted by this. It doesn't mean you have to spend thousands getting, you know, the Welsh Male Voice Choir and the London Philharmonic Orchestra on it. I'm not talking about that kind of record, but something that really represents something that's really represents a song, and it's well recorded. And the most important thing, assuming of course that the song has a lyric and a vocal as opposed to being an instrumental, the most important thing is the vocal. I always say vocal is king. And I want to get a singer in that's really going to sell the song, and it's got to be a really well recorded vocal, a really believable vocal as well, not just singing in time and singing the right notes. We're talking about something where the emotion is conveyed. One of our mentors is a wonderful singer called Ivy Chanel, and she's shared the stage with Stevie Wonder, with John Legend, some incredible people. And she talks about session singing as a way of being the messenger of the song. And whether you hire a separate session singer, or whether you're the singer yourself, then remember to serve the song, to be the messenger of the song, not necessarily to show everybody all of the licks and tricks that you can do and go, all of that kind of stuff. It's more about making sure that the message of the song, the real emotion behind the song is delivered. So even when, and it's rare that I do sing my own demos, but even when I do, I make sure that that I deliver it the best I can. And sometimes that means me taking 20 different takes to make sure I'm really getting the song across. Similarly, in terms of the quality, you know, if I'm recording a piano, I'll have a really great piano sample. And it might be that the sample needs to sound like an upright piano in a saloon, or it could be that it needs to sound like a grand piano in an auditorium. But whatever it is, I've got a rake of great samples that I can call on that that sound like proper pianos. They're not cheap MIDI sounds. But by and large these days, most of the plugins that come with Logic, that come as standard with these workstations, are really, really good. Way, way better than they used to be. And just be diligent with your recording and make sure you take it to a point that you're punching the air about it. And when people listen to it, they're really getting the feel of the thing. So we are, we do have some production walkthroughs on the site, but we will also be looking into doing more of this kind of thing. I'm going to talk more about that in future questions as well. So in fact, in the next question, I'll be talking about a bit of recording stuff. So yeah, Andrew, I do use Logic and I make records, but sometimes I use Logic to write with, and sometimes I just write with a guitar, but the end result, I always want it to sound like a record so people can really hear what it sounds like. So thank you for the question, Andrew. Okay, next, Ian Crabtree. Hi, Ian. Ian says, hi, Martin. I've left this question on the firework tutorial. For those of you that don't know what he means by that, is that if you haven't already tuned in, every week I'm doing song breakdowns on YouTube. I don't mean I'm singing a song and then having a breakdown. I'm going into a classic, massive hit song from old to new and doing a breakdown of that song and really looking into it. And this is an amazing way of learning about songwriting. I've been doing this for over 25 years now in the music business, and just doing these breakdowns is really illuminating a lot of techniques to me, and I'm learning as I'm doing them. So do go to YouTube /Songwriting Academy, and you'll find my breakdowns. And I recently did one of Firework by Katy Perry. So loads more stuff to learn there, guys. So Logic question for you. This is Logic ProX again. On your monitor in the background, it looks as though you are mixing in the environment with 4 groups of channels. Is this how you mix? I really want to learn how to group and mix in the environment, and any other tips. If you can create a short tutorial for this, I would really appreciate it. Yeah, I'd love to, Ian. Very, very briefly, because I know not all of you are going to be producers, but very briefly, what I tend to do in Logic is that I'll have different programs that are all firing drums, for example. Let's say I've got 5 different third-party pieces of software or Logic software that are firing off maybe a kick drum. It could be a different plugin that I'm using for snares. What I tend to do is I send all of these to a bus. And a bus is, if you imagine you've got 8 lanes of traffic and you move it into 2 lanes of traffic. That is what a bus is doing. I'm taking 8 single tracks and I'm moving them into a stereo pair like this. That means that I can switch off and on the drums if I want, or I can lower the volume of the entire percussion section and then gradually pull it back in until it's the right level without having to take down the kick drum separately, then take down the snare drum separately. It's a massive time changer. Similarly, I have the on that environment window at the end, I have the bass channel, I have a piano channel, I have any synthesizers, any little, what we call ear cookies in tracks, you know, just little widdly sounds and special little events. I'll have all of those going to a separate bus as well. And I have all of my instruments from my recording go into the final page, the environment page, where I have them all on buses. So it gives me an amazing, amazing freedom to switch on and off all of the basses. Let's say I've got 3 bass sounds playing the bass, but they all go into one bus at the end. So I can switch off all of the basses. I can switch off all of the drums. I can switch off all of the backing vocals with one button. This just gives me flexibility. It means that I can work really fast. And I have this all set up in a template that I open for every song. And this is what I call my auto load template. So every time I open up my template Logic, everything is already bussed. And so it means that I'm very quick putting tracks together. I'll go into a lot more detail on this. I'm very happy to do a tutorial on this. It'll be a couple of weeks time before I'm able to do that, because obviously I'm going to be in Spain. But yeah, that's it. It's a very simple workflow. So I'll tell you more about that when I do the tutorial, Ian. But thank you for being so attentive on the tutorials. So a quick question on here. Dear Martin, this is from Giles. How does one get a polished demo in front of a person who can do something with it? I'll tell you what, Giles, could you pop that question in the Q&A section, please, at the, that you'll find on your panel. And that'll mean that I'll be able to come to that. I believe there's a separate section. Oh, right, okay, Tony's already done it for you. Great stuff. So another question from Giles here. Oh, in fact, this could be it. Yes, dear Martin, I'll be very interested to know what quality a demo has to be to submit it to a label. And also, how does one even get through the door? Okay, so here we go, Giles, I can deal with it now. So, yeah, as I've already said, Giles, on this webinar, the quality of the recording has got to be great. It doesn't mean spending a fortune, but it does mean being diligent, and it means being meticulous and not letting anything through that's going to stand out. Because the truth of the matter is that when record labels, executives who may not be producers, they may not be songwriters, they just want to hear a track. If they hear anything that just kind of puts them off, they may not even be able to pinpoint why they don't like the song. They'll just go, nah, don't like it. It just doesn't sound right. They can't say, you know what it was? There was like a really weird bass note that was badly played at bar 15. They can't necessarily tell you that. But any one thing that can turn them off, I don't risk even having that in there. So that means that I try and make my demos as flawless as possible, unless I want them to sound a bit cranky. You know, if I want them to sound rough and ready, then that's a whole other thing. But most of the time, I try and make my demos as flawless as possible. And I'll give you a couple of examples of demo qualities being presented to labels, and indeed to me. So one woman came on a course of mine, and we spoke about demos, about saving up, getting the best quality that you could if you don't do it yourself. Making sure the song was as strong as it can possibly be before you even start demoing. And that way you're not, as they say in the music business, you're not polishing a turd. So you've got to make sure the raw product is great before you start. But so she'd done all of this, she crafted her song, and she sent me a demo. She sent me an email saying, hey Martin, I took your advice and I crafted my song and I saved up to go into a great studio, and here's the result. Here's my song XYZ. And then PS, sorry about the out of tune guitar, but it had new strings on it on the day we came to recording. How does that even happen? How does somebody let that through the net? And I played the demo, and from the get-go, the guitar was out of tune, and it made my toes curl. I was gripping the floor with my toes because it was painful, and I had to stop listening to it. That, of course, you know, the melody's there in the singing, the lyric is there, but that one thing can completely put somebody off, and they won't even tell you why. So don't do anything like that. My friend at Universal Records told me that he had a similar thing. Somebody sent him a demo who, somebody sent him a demo, and the email said, oh, apologies, the bass drops out at 15 seconds. It was a digital glitch. Fix it. Don't send it off and apologize for it, because first of all, the moment you apologize for something, as they've both done, immediately the listener is listening for something wrong in the song instead of listening for something right. So it puts everything on a negative slant. So if you've got to apologize for something, redo your demo or fix your demo so you don't have to apologize for anything. The last example I want to give is something that happened to me. I was asked by a major record label to come up with a song for one of their acts. And I spent 2 weeks crafting the song. They told me what it was all about. And they said to me, look, Martin, we know you. We just want you to send us a piano vocal. Don't bother doing the track. So I put together the song. I wrote the song, and I loved the song. And I did a piano vocal. I got this wonderful session singer in called Sarah Howells to sing the song. She did a beautiful job of it. I had a piano that was played. I thought it was played okay for me. And I sent it off to the record label. Heard nothing. About 2 days later, my friend came over to my studio, and he said, and I played him the song. I said, oh, what do you think of this? And he said, it's great. When are you going to make the demo? I said, this is it. And he looked at me, went, don't be an idiot. Make the record. And I looked at him and went, oh my gosh, you're right. I've got to make the record. So in about 12 hours, I turned the whole thing around. I put everything on. I put drums. It was to do with the military. I had military snares. I had trumpets. I had strings, guitars. I even got my daughter to come in and create a children's choir in the background. The full kit and caboodle. And I quickly sent it off to the record label and said, oh, I'm really sorry, I sent you the wrong mix. And they came back 2 hours later and said, we love it, we're going to cut the song. And I was the only original song on that album. I would guarantee that if I hadn't sent that full recording to them, they would have passed on the song because they couldn't hear the record. So whatever you do, Giles, make sure that the demo can make the record. And if it's just a singer-songwriter, which is literally, you know, like a basic Ed Sheeran or Adele, and it's just piano and vocal or guitar and vocal, if it's for that kind of thing, that's different. Still make sure that the quality of the recording is fantastic. But if you're creating pop, rock, country, urban records, then make the record. Make it sound as close to what it should be as possible. So, and how do we get it through the door? This is a pretty perennial question, Giles. This is about creating relationships in the business. As Woody Allen said, 80% of success is showing up. And that's what you got to do. You got to get off your backside. And I still have to do this and go to networking events, go to music business events, meet people. The whole thing about doing it on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram is, for me, it's just too disingenuous. I've had so many people that hit me up on Facebook, you know, they friend me, and then the first thing they do is they send me a video going, oh, will you listen to my video and like it, please? And it's like, I don't even know who you are. What about introducing yourself first and telling me a bit about yourself? And, you know, we start a dialogue. It's weird. It's like going into a pub and just walking up to somebody and saying, will you be my friend? Will you follow me? It's just rude. So go out to music business events, go to networking events, just get onto Google and search music business networking, and you'll find something in your locality. Or go to open mics and meet people. Often at open mics, there'll be people from the music business there just standing there looking the same as everybody else, having a drink. You just go up and talk to people. It's a people business. It always has been and it always will be. And once you start hanging out with people, and you don't have to go in and meet someone and say, here's my CD. And don't give CDs, by the way. CDs are redundant technology. But you do just create relationships and be friends with people. And then when the time is right, you can say, hey, look, do you mind if I send you a song? It might be a couple of weeks after you've met. It might be 6 months after you've met. But when the time is right, you'll know them. And it will just be like hitting up a friend and saying, hey, is it all right if I send you something? So it's a people business, Giles. So get out there and meet people. There's lots of them. And you know what? One other thing I want to say is that the record labels and publishers, they need us. They need songwriters. They need artists. Because if they don't find, if the record labels don't find new artists, if they don't find new songs for existing artists, then they could be out of a job. So they're looking for us. Don't be sort of feel intimidated by people in the music business. Everybody thinks they're in a position of power, but you ask them if they think they're in a position of power. Sure enough, they make some decisions, but not on their own. And a lot of the time, their hands are tied and they're under scrutiny from their bosses to see if they can find great songs and great artists. So they need us. Okay, do remember that. And worst case scenario, if you ever feel intimidated, just imagine somebody's naked and sitting on the toilet. That takes the intimidation out of it. So moving on. Thank you for that, Giles. Great questions. So this is from Melissa. Hi, Martin. Thanks for this opportunity. You're very welcome. Do you know of any strategies, shortcuts to organize your phrases quickly, to keep track of the math of storytelling as quickly as possible? In your opinion and experience, what are your preferred numbers of bars in a phrase for each section of a song? I'll cover that one first. There aren't a number of preferred bars in a phrase for each section of a song. I'd look at more of a timeline. So I want to get to my chorus 30 to 45 seconds into the song. I want to deliver my hook as soon as I can. And if that means one verse that's got 16 bars in it, then so be it. If it's a verse that's got 8 bars in it and then a pre-chorus that's got 4, then great, whatever. So it's more about just feeling what's right, what should come next. And that comes from writing a lot and just getting that sense of what should come next. But in terms of the actual organizing my phrases, hopefully, Melissa, you've been through the song planner. If not, please do go back to Lyrics 101 and work through with the song planner, because this will show you how to actually plan your song out so you know what you're going to be saying in every part of the song. And at that point, if you know that in verse 2, after your first chorus, that you're going to be saying, and now I've fallen in love with you, I feel I can climb mountains, I can do this, you know, all of the amazing things that you can do because you feel loved suddenly, then that's what you can group all of your phrases there. Yeah, I mean, essentially, you know, if you've got your plan out like that, then you can group your phrases according to where your song plan is taking you. But in the initial sort of period of brainstorming, which is part of that 7-step song planner, then just get them down anywhere. Just get them down anywhere. If you do it on a computer, you can then move them around at any point after that. There is a great program that we're going to be working in partnership with these guys pretty soon. It's a great program called Master Writer, and that has another great way of organizing all of your material as well. So that's worth a look too. So great questions. Thank you, Melissa. I'm just looking at the comments here. Thank you, Martin. I appreciate the advice. That's from Giles. No worries, Giles. Thank you very much. So this is from Bloomy. Hi, Martin. Thanks for taking questions in advance. This is about songwriting credits. Are there any rules? How much input into a song, whether it be lyric, melody, music, structure, etc., warrants a co-write credit? I was playing the beginnings of a song to a friend the other day, and he added one word which I absolutely loved and used. Does this mean I include him as a co-writer? I'm tempted. So this is, again, a question that comes up a lot. There's a few sort of phrases that go around the music business. One is write a word, get a third. You know, if there's two people in a room and a third person comes in and they write a word that turns that song into a hit, then really they're a co-writer and they deserve a portion of that. It's never about quantity. I never count words, count phrases, or count, you know, sort of, well, how many notes did you sing towards this melody? It's madness. It's swings and roundabouts. If you're all sitting in a room and writing together, then fair play. But this other thing that you're talking about, where you have somebody that just jumps into a session and adds something to a song, I would say use your discretion on this. If they haven't asked for anything and you didn't ask them to contribute to it, then it's really down to your discretion. I tend to, you know, if somebody really adds something to a song of mine and I feel it's been something that's really benefited the song, and they haven't, you know, they weren't invited in to co-write, but they just sort of threw in an idea, then I absolutely would be tempted to say, hey, look, you know what, you just came up with something great, we'd love to give you 20% of the song. Or, you know, if they sat there and came up with a verse, you might say, look, just be an equal co-writer on it. And there's been times on the retreat where myself as a mentor, and it's happened to other mentors too, where we go in and just help people with their song. We're not asking for any portion of the song for that. But there's been a few times where people have said to me, look, you contributed so much to this song that we'd like to include you as an equal co-writer on it. And sometimes I've said, no, it's fine. Other times I've said, you know what, okay, I'm in because I love the song and I'd love to work more on it. So it's really about having conversations with people. If you want somebody to be part of a co-write on it, invite them in. If they just throw a word in, then use your discretion about it. You'd feel pretty guilty. If you're a decent person, you'd feel pretty guilty if somebody gave you the hook to a song and you went off and had a massive hit with it and they made nothing. You can imagine them sitting in the corner grinding their teeth. So and that goes for you too. You know, if you dive into, you know, if you hear somebody playing something and out of the goodness of your heart you just turn around and say, oh, have you tried doing this? Then leave it at their discretion. You know, if they haven't invited you to help, then leave it at their discretion. If they do invite you in, then why not just say, hey, look, I love the sound of this, I'd love to write it with you. How do you feel about that? Just have conversations with people. I always remember somebody talking to me about years and years and years ago when I was a struggling artist and I was defaulting on my mortgage. And I didn't want to have a conversation with the mortgage company. And when I finally did, and when the threatening letters had come through, they said, you know what, it's so much better if you just talk to us so we understand your situation. And I've taken that through life with me now, that if there's anything that might feel uncomfortable or might turn into something that is uncomfortable later, then I'd rather have the conversation right now and get it out in the open. And then everybody knows where they stand. So just talk to people. Love that question, Bloomy. Thank you so much for that. Oh, thank you, Bloomy. I'm a sound guy. Thank you. So here's a question from Mark Miner. Good to have you here again, Mark. Can you give me some insights of how you choose the right demo singer for a song? How many other people have this question as well about choosing the right demo singer for a song? Let's see some hands raised. You're able to click on a button to raise your hands. Okay, I'm just waiting for this. Yeah, we've got a bunch of raised hands here. Yeah. So, yes, demo singers, absolutely crucial that your demo sounds amazing. And that largely is about the vocal. First of all, don't get a drummer to mix your song because the drums will be the loudest things in the mix. But Mark is saying one of my songs I wrote for the challenge would fit voices ranging from a raspy Joe Cocker to an angelic voice like the guy from Travis. So how do you make a decision? For me, it's always about, and I've said this before today and previously, it's about serving the song and getting people to fall in love with the song. So at some point, you're going to have to make a call about which you would prefer. Do you want that battle-weary Joe Cocker kind of vibe, or do you want the fresher, younger feel? Think about who you might be pitching it to. If it's a younger feel to the lyric, then you know, if it's something that's quite innocent in a way, then think about having a young voice on it. It might be something that's more about life. It could be one of those more sort of existential kind of lyrics that is talking about the trials and tribulations of life, in which case you might want to have somebody that sounds more mature and battle weary to deliver it more effectively. So so you're going to have to make a call on, depending on the content of the song, depending on the style of the production as well. But in terms of choosing a demo singer, I have a bank of demo singers that I can call up to sing any kind of song that I've got, whether it be a Christina Aguilera kind of vocal, or it might be that it's going to be more of this kind of angelic feel to it, the Sarah McLachlan kind of broken voice feel to it. But I'm always guided by the song, and I'd never try. And I know that some people view this differently, but my opinion is I never try and get someone to sound like the artist that I'm pitching to, because either I think the label or the artist are going to listen to it and go, well, that's just a rubbish version of our artist, or that's a rubbish version of me. Or if it's better than the artist, then the artist might feel intimidated by that. But if they both hear the song, the label, the artist, the manager, they hear the song and they fall in love with it regardless, then that's job done for me. And I was working on a Celine Dion record some years ago, and we'd found this song, which was a wonderful song called Right Next to the Right One. And the singer was a gosh, I can't remember the name, but the writer was a Danish, I believe, singer. He was a guy, and he had this, well, he had a guy voice, but it was also kind of like singer-songwriter, maybe a little Cat Stevens kind of thing. And my producer friend played it to Celine, and Celine fell in love with the song. It wasn't even a female vocal. She just fell in love with the record that he'd made and said, I want to record this song. So what does that tell you? It told me a hell of a lot about what kind of vocals I should be getting on my song. It's all about what serves the song and makes the song shine the best. So if you've got a young kind of lyric to your song, Mark, then maybe get a Travis kind of vocal. If it's a more mature theme, then think about a more mature Joe Cockery kind of voice. But, you know, you can always audition people. You can always just sort of listen, maybe send them a track and get them to do a once through on it. You may have to pay them for it, but just to do a very, very rough idea of what it's going to be before you actually do the proper recording. But make sure that you don't rush into it. Just take your time and choose the best vocalist. Something else I want to say, just because you can sing, I don't mean you, Mark, I mean just because one can sing doesn't mean one should sing every song that you write. You know, if you may have an incredible kind of like Beyonce kind of vibe to your voice, but you've written a song that could be great for an Adele, okay? And Adele doesn't sound anything like Beyonce. She doesn't sing in the same style as Beyonce. She doesn't do all of the licks and the tricks that Beyonce does. So really consider what's going to serve the song best, whatever song you write. Even if you're an artist writing for yourself, it doesn't mean that every song you're going to write is going to be perfect for you. So think about using other singers as well to show off your songs the best you can. So that's all I have to say about that. Cool. Let's move on, and then I'm going to dive in shortly and do a feedback on the song. So this is a question from Khan. Hi Martin, let's say I have a song ready to go. How can I find or contact a publisher? So similarly, as I said to Giles earlier, get out there, meet people, go out there and network. The other thing that you can do if you're looking at publishers in different countries, I'm not sure where you're based, Khan, but if you're looking at publishers in different countries, as I've done, then what I did when I first left I was with Universal Publishing for 6 years. When I left them and I was representing myself, I looked up independent publishers in the UK, and I looked at all of their affiliate independent publishers in different countries. And then I contacted those publishers and said, hi there, this is who I am, this is what I do. Would you be interested in hearing a couple of songs? And most of them came back to me and said, yeah, because they want to hear songs. So, so you can do it that way as well. Just don't do the Facebook stalking thing, okay? But largely it's about creating relationships. As I said to Giles earlier, it's about creating relationships with people in the music business. Just get out there and be part of it. So there's a question here from a Medi. So about speed. Hi, could you pop that on the Q&A as well, please? Any questions? Try not to put them in the chat room because they'll fly past, and I want to try and get through the questions that we have in good order. So, right, next question, and then I'm going to do my song review of Anthony Lawrence's song. This is from Erwin Cruz. Hello, Martin. I have a two-part question regarding a song being memorable. There are great songs considered timeless or classics, like Let It Be by the Beatles, while there are songs that are, while great and become hits during their peak, eventually fall off the music landscape and are now rarely played. My question is, what do you think are the reasons why some songs last a long time, while others, though great, fall into obscurity? Okay, so, and he also says, how can one make their written songs more memorable to listeners? So, to be honest with you, Erwin, the songs that I've been breaking down on YouTube, some of the examples are like Jolene and Somewhere Over the Rainbow. What these songs have about them is an incredible connection with the listeners. That's the first thing. They have an incredible connection. They have believability. They have authenticity to them. Just listen to analyze the lyrics, or go look at my breakdown of Jolene on YouTube. And the authenticity in that lyric is unbelievable. And it reaches into your soul and it just squeezes it dry because it's so real. And it's a true story that happened to Dolly Parton. By connecting with our listeners, or the way that we connect with our listeners, is by writing about universal themes. Again, if you look at any of the videos that I've done on the YouTube channel, there's always something that is connecting with a listener via a universal theme. If you're just going to write about your local council that have dug up the roads and you're writing a protest song, it's going to have a limited audience. For me, I want to try and have as many people around the world love my songs as possible. So they'll go out there, they'll play them to other people, they'll buy them, and I can continue doing what I do for a living. The way that I do this, I focus on universal themes. That doesn't mean it's always about love, although a lot of the songs that I write about are love-based. They are passion-based, they're romance-based, but they could be equally passionate things about, yes, we can, you know, the positive thinking anthems, and about, I've got one song called 1,000 Things. There's 1,000 things to do. I've got 1,000 things to do before I die. And it's about living. And this is a universal theme. Look at any of those videos on YouTube. Sam Smith, Stay With Me, about a one-night stand, a lonely person that just wants company after a one-night stand. You look at Firework, Katy Perry, and that's a big uplifting song saying, you know what, you're not a nobody, you're not just a plastic bag floating around in the wind. You're a firework, you're amazing, you're incredible. And that's a universally uplifting theme. Somewhere Over the Rainbow, oh my gosh, that is, well, it's the biggest selling song. It was the most successful song in America in the last century. And it's easy to understand. It's a song about hope. It's a song about aspirations, and tinged with melancholy as well. Because, of course, hope comes with melancholy, doesn't it? It's like we feel that we need the most hope when we're in a desperate situation. And that's exactly what that song embraces. So write universal themes, but think about the listener when you're writing. Think about who you want to move with your song. And that way you will connect with people, and that way you will get what we call an evergreen song. And an evergreen song is a song which keeps getting recorded by new artists because they hear it and they love it, and that will keep giving the song a new lease of life. And just as a side note, I'm very, very happy to say that one of my songs, which was previously released by Leanne Rimes, has now been recorded and is going to be released later this year by Cliff Richard and Olivia Newton-John doing a duet. So it's about 7 years since the first outing of that song, and now it's going to be released again. Hopefully we're going to have a hit over here in the UK with that. Thanks, Tony. And Tony just saying congratulations. And this, for me, it's possibly my favorite song that I've ever written, and it has it's me. It's got me written all over it. It's so authentic because I believe that everybody is a somebody, and the song is called Everybody's Someone. So hopefully that song is going to keep getting released, every 5 to 10 years I'll get another cut on that song. But it's about reaching into people's hearts, connecting with them, not just having a great groove. A lot of songs sort of fall off the radar because they are fashion based. How many dubstep songs are we listening to right now? There was a time when everything in the charts was all about dubstep, and it was all about that big halftime with the big snare drum. It was so fashion based that it was destined to only be around for a few years. And it was a couple of years, and then it morphed into something else. But for me, I just want to write great songs, and those songs are the ones, hopefully, they're going to stick around the longest, that they're not reliant on the production to make them hit records. And I think a song like Firework, I think Stay With Me, Sam Smith, Jolene, Somewhere Over the Rainbow, those songs are going to keep getting played over and over for years, because they move people. Apparently Firework has been picked up by a charity and is being used on a charitable basis as well. It's because it moves people. So think about that. Really focus on your authenticity when you write. And I think that will set you on a great foundation, Owen. So thank you very much for that question. Okay, then. So moving on. So we've had this question from Giles already. I'm just making sure that, right, okay, we're still all good. We've had this question from Giles about the polished demo in front of someone. Okay, this is Bloomy Bloomster. Hi, Martin. Bloomy here from Brighton. Do you know any demo companies that do a great job producing songs? I sent a song to a demo company in America, folky number, and it came back, sounded like a totally different song. Yeah, Bloomy, what I would suggest you do is you can do a bit of research in terms of just individual producers instead of necessarily demo companies. There is a great demo company, however, based around a producer called Nash Tracks in Nashville, and they do amazing country demos, but they're such incredible musicians that they also do, you know, I've had them do a song of mine. I wanted it to sound like Beautiful, Christina Aguilera. I had another one that I wanted it to sound like a John Mayer record. And they've got such amazing players. In fact, I think one of their guys actually played guitar for John Mayer. So, okay, that'll do. So they're incredible, but it's about giving whoever you give your song to, whether it be, you know, a company like Nash Tracks or an individual producer, it's about giving them a really good heads up on what you want. So that means giving them reference tracks and links to these reference tracks. So, you know, to be able to say, well, you know, I want the drum sounds to be just like they were on U2 With or Without You, but I want the vocal to be more like Adele, and I want the guitars to be like Tapao, China in Your Hands, or whatever you want it to be, but have your vision of what it's going to sound like, because nobody can read your mind. So whoever you send your songs to, make sure you have reference tracks and a really, really good description of what you want it to sound like and your influences. And that way it'll really help the producer. I've done a production for, I do these paid production gigs as well. And I've had somebody come to me and they told me what they wanted it to sound like. We spent a day putting the whole sort of formula of the track together, the format rather of the track together. And then she came back a couple of weeks later and said, no, I don't like that at all. I want to start again. It's like, well, that was a day out of my time. If I'd known what you actually wanted it to sound like, or you'd been clearer about what you wanted it to sound like, instead of guessing when we first worked on it, then we wouldn't have wasted a day. So it's as much your responsibility as it is the people that are actually producing it. Okay, then. So, sorry, there's just a few other links along the way. So the next, in fact, let me do this demo breakdown, because we're at 5 to 7 already. I can't believe how quick that is. By the way, Bloomy, if you've got, if you're looking for other producers as well, if you go to our UK website, which is thesongwritingacademy.co.uk, then you may well be able to find some producers in our team there as well. There's a great guy in Southampton called Tom Gibson who does terrific demos. Oh, and Kevin Jakeman, who's he's one of our attendees today. Kevin Jakeman's a fab producer as well. There's plenty of us around, but do your due diligence as well. Right, ladies and gentlemen, what I want to do now is I want to play you the song that was the July winner of the Songwriting Challenge on songwritingacademy.com. And I'm going to play you the verse from the beginning of the song to the end of the first chorus. First of all, I'm going to copy the lyric into the chat room so you can see, you can read the lyric. Here we go. So let me just pop that in here. He said not being able to put it in there. Here it comes. Okay, so copy and paste. Why is that not doing it? Okay. Right, okay, then in that case, I'm going to have to try and put it into, can I put it into the chat room? Right, in that case, let me try doing this, where I will send you the link for the song. Here we go. So this is a lovely song called Ornament. But what I want to do when I'm playing through the song with you is I want you to put your analysis of the song, because I'm wondering why I can't post in here. Okay, then. Right, okay, it won't allow me to. If anybody has the opportunity to click on that link and copy and paste the lyric into the chat room, then everybody will be able to see it, and that would be grand, please. So thank you for that. Okay, so I'm going to play the song now, and you be the the feedbackers, the appraisers on this song. Okay, here we go. Can you all hear that okay? Hands up if you can hear it okay.
So you take advantage of my heart, my trust, boy, and I make it easy for you to keep me. Collect the dust on the shelf, cause you only care about yourself, yeah. And I've been crying for help if you knew how I felt. Standing here hanging like an ornament. Running on one red, I'm over it. I want you to cut me loose. I can't be here with you, hanging on a string like an ornament.
Okay, so in fact, let's just hear the post hook as well. Okay then, so ladies and gentlemen, please give me your comments on this song so far. Any comments? I'll get my coat then. Bloomy's saying, great vocalist. Yeah, Kevin's saying could have less of the piano melody. So Bloomy, the lyrics aren't engaging me strongly enough. Okay then, so I'm going to go back to the beginning of this song, and I want you to tell me what you think I'm going to be saying about the very beginning of this song. Hold on. Right. Thank you. Thank you very much from Brian, from Steve, oh no, from Kevin and Tony. The intro is 24 seconds long. Absolutely. And Bloomy saying 4 bars is enough. 24 seconds long. That's a long old intro. And who can tell me, who's been listening to some of my breakdowns, who can tell me what the average Spotify skip time is on songs? There we go. Fantastic. Oh, I love the fact you've been listening. Yay. 7 darn seconds. Okay. So chances are, as much as there are things about this song that I really, really like, and Anthony's a really good writer, this is a critical error for me. One, two, three, four. Boom. There we go. 12 seconds. We could be in already, couldn't we? So, yes, absolutely. Well spotted, everybody. Okay, let's look at some other things. Let's go in with this first verse.
So you take advantage of my heart, my trust, boy, and I make it easy for
Okay, then. So that's the verse. What do we think of the verse, everybody? Let's not go into production here. Let's sort of just talk about the songwriting for now. So what do we think of the first verse? What do you like about it? Oh, you're all thinking about it. Well, I'm going to tell you what I like. I think there's a really nice, yeah, Tony's saying keeps a good static melody, leaving space. Yeah. And the message is strong. Yeah. From the get-go, we've got, I feel like I'm just a souvenir, you know, so we're told what the song is about. And it's very conversational. I really like conversational kind of lyrics. It's not dumbing it down. And for this kind of, I guess it's a kind of an R&B kind of feel to it. R&B pop kind of feel to it. This simplicity works really, really well. Yes, Bloom, you saying you know where you are right from the start. Exactly. There's also some really nice little internal rhymes in this. So we've got... Okay, so can anybody spot the internal rhyme in that second line? I feel like I'm just a souvenir, somebody that you knew would always be here for you. Exactly, well spotted, Bloomy. Souvenir and here. And internal rhymes, you know what, people sort of go, oh, so it rhymes. But you know what, there's a great, it just pulls you in, it makes you feel comfortable, it makes you feel home and familiar, and like it's been well written, it's been well thought out. I feel like I'm just a souvenir, somebody that you knew would always be here. And you know, I love the fact that you got a for you on the end of it as well. So it makes it kind of cooler. If it was just like, I feel like I'm just a souvenir, somebody that you knew would always be here, then it's a little bit obvious in a way. But the fact that you're here for you, and this is what we call an extended rhyme. And yeah, the for you anchors there. So it's an extension. So when we're writing, don't worry if you want to use your rhyme where it would normally fall, but then put a few more words on the end of the line. That's cool. Or you could also extend it by having a few more words and then putting the rhyme in a place that surprises people too. Both those ways are what we call extended rhymes. And then we've got. So melodically, I really like for you to keep me. You know, we feel like we're finally coming away from this static melody where we're being given the plot, and we're rising up into something else. So melodically, I really like the way that pulls me up there. And well, we'll come to timing in a moment, but then we've got the pre-hook, the pre-chorus. Yeah, so we've got this great thing about, and this is really important, that to create contrast between the parts of our song. So we've got shelf, yourself, help, and felt. The whole rhyme scheme has changed from what it was in the verse. And so the listener detects a change. They detect the contrast between the two portions, and so we're brought back into the song. Changes come. Exactly, Bloomy. Change is coming. So we get that sense that oh, it's a new part of the song. I'm interested again, instead of oh, it's just another verse, or it sounds just like the verse. I hate those songs where you just don't even know where the chorus is because it all sounds the same. It's just linear. They just bore me. But this is great because there are some lovely techniques being used here, and we've still got that conversational feel, but without dumbing it down. And there's a lovely thing about the fact that it's called a golden thread, where where we're writing about something, it's important that any metaphors and similes that we use tie in with what the song is about. This song is called Ornament. What we don't want to be hearing about is suddenly saying, and there's a forest fire in my heart. And it's like, what the hell has that got to do with ornaments? But collecting dust on the shelf, that's great, because you only care about yourself. And I've been crying for help if you knew how I felt. So that fact that he's put collecting dust on the shelf, he's thinking about the theme of the song, which is the fact that it's an ornament. So that's great. Really, really good. So the chorus hits at 1 minute on the nose. 1 minute for me is topping out, but we know that by just halving that introduction, this would be happening at 48 seconds. Sweet. And that's what I would have loved to have heard, this chorus dropping at 48 seconds. So that's a small fix, though. I don't know if Anthony's on this call or not. If you are, just put your hand up, Anthony. But if not, you know, these are small fixes. I'm a big fan of this song. Okay, here we go.
I want you to cut me loose, 'cause I can't be here with you, hanging on straight like you got me.
Okay, cool. So talk to me about the chorus. Yeah, Tony's saying, love the chorus, super catchy. Why is it catchy, Tony? Or anybody, why is it catchy? Well, Brian Dean is saying modulation. So it's still in the same key here. Believe me, saying, good question. Medi is saying, no, it's held on ornament. Bloomy wants to hear it again. Melody simple for me. I hear that more than lyric. Yeah, so let's have a listen again. First of all, there's repetition in here. Hold on, bear with me. There's repetition in here. And repetition is the songwriter's best friend. So the melody is repeated. Check this.
Yeah, and I've been crying for help.
Oh, hold on. Oh, where are we? Bear with me. Here it comes. Da, 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 da. First of all, this is the highest note that we've heard in the song. And so he's taken us to a mountaintop on this song, which is great. I always lock away my highest notes for the chorus 99% of the time. All of my high notes, the highest notes in my songs, you'll find them in the choruses. And that makes them really jump out. But we've got, talking about repetition here, standing here hanging like an ornament. And then what happens? Running on wild thing and I'm over it. Exactly the same melody repeated. So we have that comfort, we have that familiarity of the song. He's taught us the melody by repeating it. That's how we learn stuff, by repetition. And I keep talking about repetition so everybody learns how important repetition is and then remember it. And then instead of having that line again, he takes a lovely detour from it to give us a break from it and gives us a chance to miss it. Want you to cut me loose, and then repeats it. 'Cause I can't be here with you. So repetition again. And then we come back to the hook, which is close to the hook, but not quite. For me, I would have been tempted to try saying, I'm standing here hanging like an ornament again at the end. For me, ornament, is it just me, but don't ornaments sit on shelves? And he's already said collecting dust on the shelf as opposed to hanging from a shelf. So for me, I'm sort of seeing I'm seeing something sitting on a shelf, and I don't think of ornaments just grammatically. I don't think of the things that hang on a string, and that's the one thing that just threw me a little bit on that. You know, so I would have been tempted. I would certainly experiment with by having that first line um, and repeating exactly the same melody as well. And I think Bloomy just said about going up at the end instead of coming down. I would have gone, I'm standing and standing like an ornament. So I would have repeated that, and that's what we call bookending a chorus, where the first line and the last line of the song. Imagine bookshelf. Funnily enough, imagine a bookshelf with bookends at each end, at the front and at the back of it. And so I think this would be a great opportunity, because you've got those two little lines in the middle that take us on a detour to then bookend it with exactly the same melody. And I'd be tempted to try the same lyric as well, because the phrasing is changed on this last line. But other than that, I just think it's great. And somebody said it's bravo for getting the word ornament in there, because it's a tough word to sing, but it actually works when we go ornament. So I think well done on that too. I think really, really good. I like the unusualness of it. And then we get the post hook. So nice. We've got that post hook, also called the B chorus as well. But yeah, so we've just got this little sort of breakdown. So then we're at 1 minute 36, and then we go into this second verse. Yeah, just Bloomy saying, you know, the ornament, it did cross my mind as well, Bloomy, about that. Again, it was this thing that stopped me thinking about that, was that it is a slightly clunky word, but I'd be interested to hear what it's like going ornament, ornament. Yeah, I think there could be legs in it. So I'll tell you, I'm not going to play through the whole of verse 2 and analyze every lyric on there. It does the job really, really well. And then the second pre-hook is the same. Then it goes into the hook again. But I just want to come out of this second chorus. And then we're into the bridge section. So what do you guys think of that turnaround after the second chorus? The turnaround is where we have a little musical section in between the parts of the song. So what do you guys think of that musical turnaround after chorus 2? Bit flat in terms of energy, you mean? Perhaps a little too long? Yeah, for me, I think, yeah, and Tony's saying, yeah, the energy drops. And again, this is like a really neat little edit that you can do. And I think, frankly, it could have gone straight into this bridge, because the bridge is pretty cool as it happens. So check this. This little static melody. It's totally different to the other bits of the song. And then into the post hook. I'm going to play through here. Okay, so the piano from that point for the next 20, 30 seconds actually just does that piano lick over and over. But did anybody else miss a final chorus here? It's just, yeah. For me, and there's so much that I like about this song. So Anthony, when you do watch this, I want you to know that I think you've got something really good here. But structurally, I'm sort of kind of just pushed away from the song after that second chorus, because first of all, because of the turnaround, and I think you could cut that out completely. So the bridge is actually singing. Okay, this is chorus 2. Slipping down and falling, baby, closer to the ground I'm fading. Na, 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 na. So with, you know, we can have the bridge coming straight in from them. That will keep the party going. That will keep people interested. We've heard that piano thing right at the beginning of the song twice already, and it's kind of not giving us anything new. Oh, Mehdi, are you Anthony Laurence? Oh, okay then. Right, okay then. Sorry about that. I just wondered because you put sure, okay. Yeah, I think just taking out that turnaround completely after chorus 2, going straight into the bridge, and then when we come out the bridge, what should we have? Where is this taking us, everybody? Double chorus. Ornament. Absolutely. Excuse my dreadful singing. Standing here hanging like an ornament. Absolutely, especially because the vocals lifting us up there. Double chorus, and then into the post hook, which would be this, and then you could overlay. So let's just say we've had the double chorus and then like an ornament, don't cut me loose. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 boom. And this song could be done by 3 minutes. Oh, sorry, not 3 minutes, by 3:30, 3:40, something like that. We could be out. As it stands at the moment, there's a load of piano at the end of the song. I'm not going to play through it because it's like 30 seconds of our time, but it ends at 12. A record label, if you send this to a record label and they look at 4 minutes 12, they're going to hesitate to play it. Because they're going to think, well, hold on, it's already not a radio single, because radio will only play 3 minutes of a song. So if it's 3 minutes 30, then, you know, that's kind of like pitchable to radio. And you know what, this is about, for me, it's about always leaving people with the hook that you want them to remember. And on this, what's the hook? Ornament. That should be the last vocal that we hear, because that's what you want people to remember. So they go away to their friends and say, oh, have you heard that song Ornament? So think about that when we're doing it. Think about your structure, everybody. And when you're doing your recordings, really consider about whether you need these turnarounds coming out of choruses, or whether you can just cut them out. Be brutal, get the big scissors out, cut them out, and if you really, really miss it, then put it back in. But 9 times out of 10, you won't miss it. So this is great. I really like the song. There's great hooks in it. I really like the delivery of it, all of that stuff. But Anthony, when you do watch this, great work, but work on this structure and really give us that hook at the end again. And then you can overlay the hook with the post hook too, so we get more stuff in there. And and then just finish with one da 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 dum 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 bomb. Just get out. No one's interested in hearing that over and over again at the end. They're done. But as beautiful a hook as it is, a piano as it is, we can overdo it. So and shorten that intro as well. But everybody, big round of applause for Anthony Laurence. Yay! Cool, cool, cool. Right. Okay. So listen, I've got 10 minutes left for a couple more questions. So I'm going to see if I can get through these. Okay. So this is for Brian Dean. Thank you for attending, Brian. Thanks for the session today, Martin. I'm currently working on a song using the planner. What do you suggest I do with the piles of sketches, both lyrics and music? So what you do, if you're talking about if you've completed in fact, let me just ask you, Brian, is this that you've completed your whole song planning and you've got the lyrical sketches and the musical sketches? Is that what you're talking about? If that's the case, then previous work. Oh, I see, previous works. Right. Okay, then. So I'll be honest with you, Brian. Previous works, I leave them as previous works. I have a bit of an adage that there's no past and there's no future in the past. If you think there is a song, if your gut instinct though is telling you that there's a song that has really got something special about it, why not rewrite it? Why not go back to the song planner and plan the whole thing out and be brutal with it? If it hasn't worked in its previous form for you, and it's never been completed, then rip it apart, rip it up and start again, but do it with the planner. But in terms of previous songs, I've got bunches of sketches, lyrical sketches, musical sketches that I've had stored on my phone, stored on my computer, and I tend to just leave them there until the odd occasion where one of them comes back to mind, and I might think, you know what, I'll have another go at that, because the good ones will never let you go. But a lot of them are just what I call stepping stones to the ones that we're going to write. So yeah, that's my advice. You know, look to the future, think about the songs you're going to write, because we often get in a rut. We have gotten in a rut with the previous songs that we've written before we started using the planner. But do stick with the planner, Brian, because it works. Cool. Okay. So this is another question from A Medi. I'd love to know what your first name is, A Medi. Hi, Martin. Please forgive if asked or answered already. Do you recommend using sites like Fiverr.com for vocals, production, mixing, mastering, and merchandise design to speed up workflow? I'll be honest with you, Amjad. Hi there. Amjad, I have never used Fiverr for anything, but I've been told that it's a good resource. Most of my contacts for vocals, production, mixing, and mastering have all come from people I know, and this comes back to going out there and just meeting people. But what I suggest you do, Amjad, is maybe put this up as a question in the community itself, and see what experiences people have had using them, and what are the no's and the sites that are no and the sites that are yes, and the do's and don'ts for using them. But I haven't used it, so it would be unfair of me to comment on that. So sorry I can't help you further on that, but I will say you can get so far by just talking to people. We've got something like 1,200 people on this community now, so ask them about, you know, vocalists and who can get mixing and mastering done. Okay, couple more questions. I'm going to try and squeeze these in just before I finish. Oh, right. Yeah, Brian Dean has just rephrased his question, so that one's already answered. So this is from Bloomy. I was specific, but not as specific as you've advised, so that's great advice. Oh, right. Okay, then. So, no, that wasn't actually a question. So do we have any more questions? Do we have... I've got time for one more question. If somebody wants to put it into the Q&A quickly. I can hear the keys typing away as we speak. Okay, let's see where we go. Whilst you're thinking about that, I just want to let you know again, for those of you that didn't catch it at the beginning of this webinar, but next week, which is September the 8th, we have one place available on the Andalusian Songwriting Retreat. It's a week-long retreat in Andalusia. We're doing a great offer on this place, and it's a life-changing week. You'll be amongst 36 songwriters. 4 of us are multi-million selling writers, singers, producers, and we're going to be working with you as well as helping you write your songs when you're in your groups. Each day you'll be having a mentor visit you and helping you do this. It's the most amazing week, and if you can get your backside over to Andalusia, then we'll be happy to do a special deal for Songwriting Academy. So just one place available on that now. So there's that. Also wanted to let you know about a webinar that I'm holding next Monday, which is a free webinar. And this is where I'm going to be talking about the secrets of songwriting success. I'm going to be talking about what's stopping you getting your songs in the charts, how to cure writer's block, talking about the 3 melodic forms that have helped me sell millions of records, how to connect with the audience, how to collaborate, and a lot more. So we've got a few places available left on this. There's only in fact, I'm not sure how many are on here now, but I'm going to put the link in here. So if anybody wants to jump onto that webinar, this is the registration link for it. So do jump on that webinar, and I look forward to seeing you there. Do come along to that. So yeah, I think we've pretty much come to the end of the session now. Thank you so much, everybody, for being here. It's been awesome. I love doing these webinars. I absolutely love them to bits. And it's great to know that you're all there and you're like-minded people. I'm going to say what I always say at the end of these webinars, that, you know, my goal is to create a global community of songwriters where there's no toxicity, we're all helping each other, we're supporting each other. And we're trying to do that by making this as affordable as possible. You know, you're already members of songwritingacademy.com, and you know how affordable it is. It's less than a gym membership a month, and you get so much more. And you're part of this amazing, growing global community of songwriters. So please, just every songwriter that you know, just tell them about Songwriting Academy and help me build my vision of this huge community around the world. It's really important to me, and I think we can do something really special if we all support each other. We can't do this alone. It's all about sharing instead of competing with each other. So thank you so much for that, and I'm really looking forward to seeing you guys. Don't forget to register for next Monday's webinar, but also I will see you in 2 weeks' time on this Q&A webinar as well. So thank you so much, everybody, and it's been awesome, and thank you for all of your thanks as well. So looking forward to seeing you next time. Take care now. Bye-bye.